This podcast features adult content not suitable for listeners under the age of 18. You have been warned.
Welcome to this episode of Back to the Story, where friends come together to play Dungeons and Dragons. I'll be your DM, Klouse. Let's get started.
If there's anybody in our friends group that you can tell me.
I don't think the stars would shine so bright if just one of you were not here.
I mean, I'm probably in the library or at home.
You have my sword.
You're the only person who makes me want to be better than I am.
And my axe.
I wasn't strong enough or fast enough or, I don't know, clever enough. I didn't have it in me to stop what happened.
And the entire time you're speaking, he's jotting down in his book, kind of mindlessly, not making eye contact, more just looking at his notes.
That was very fucking stupid.
I tend to do stupid things a lot.
There's more out there to find, and there's more moments for having.
I'll find a way to be stronger next time.
Interesting. Curious.
I don't know fuck all about what's right.
Everyone who has ever loved you was wrong.
You can do better.
I know. I have to.
How do you want to do this?
Alright, so jumping back in. Previously, after giving the axe to the Wormai and escaping through the back caverns of Stronghold Ustax, the group retreated, being pursued by orcs and the Manticore. Main Makar Lungstrike. Kalvyn and Bál stood against the orcs, cutting them down one by one as the others, particularly Ellory and Wink, blasted the Manticore with spell and arrow. Fighting through Wink's thorn vines, Lungstrike impaled Ellory with numerous tail spikes, but it was wounded. It began shifting to move away, but as it did, Kalvyn threw his brass javelin, slamming into the underbelly of the creature, the last flames bringing it tumbling down into the snow. With more orcs on the way, Kalvyn and Wink quickly harvested the creature's pelt, heart, and spikes from the ground before the group quickly left the area. Finding a spot to hide, Vesper expressed anger at Kalvyn, and the two argued before it. Ellory and Wink spoke up. A few days passed as you traveled back to the coast to Embershore. Just a day out, Boros found the group, presumably with the enhanced sense of smell in his lichen form, to compensate Kalvyn for his Manticore contract. But we pick up here as the group has quietly done some recon on the Northolt ship, and spells and various buffs have been cast upon Ellory for a mission to retrieve the Iron Egg. We'll be jumping between scenes, starting with Ellory. So, then the night you've planned this after being buffed by Amsen and Vesper and making your way towards the ship, you come upon it. It's night. You see the torches of a few raiders here and there moving along back and forth. Give me a perception check.
That is a math 17.
Okay. It looks like there are a few raiders that come and go with no distinct pattern, but you do notice there are 4 rotating guards. They rotate kind of up on the back part of the ship, where the ship is actually driven and sailed and directed, and to the front as well, and then 2 on the main part of the top deck, and they just kind of rotate every now and then. They're all humanoid, humans looking, a little bigger, and holding torches. They're just kind of rotating. You know from Voyage how to get in. There's a few ways, and it's kind of up to you how you want to approach that.
Okay, I think it might help to establish a couple of the things that I did to prepare. Before any spells were cast, just in case I get spotted, I put on the mask that I took off of the Gullah Barbarian, and I took off my scale badge and handed it to Amsen to hold on to until I get back. And then...
So Vesper has kind of blessed you with the intellect of the cunning fox, helping you with intellect checks, like investigation. Voyage gave you that vial of invisibility. It lasts only a short period of time, 10 minutes, but you have that. And then Amsen, I believe, has inspired you. And was there something else, Amsen, you did before she took off?
I cast invisibility just as she's about to go onto the ship.
And then same with the inspiration as well, just before she goes.
And before he casts invisibility, I cast mage armor and spider climb.
Okay. All right. So you're concentrating on those. And we'll say you've done that close enough to the ship to where the inspiration only lasts, I believe, 10 minutes. So you have to use that pretty quick. But you'll have maybe 2-3 minutes before that'll kind of fade. But the invisibility will last an hour unless you break it. So you've gotten to this point with those buffs, seeing the ship. How do you want to approach it?
So I would like to try to spider climb onto the hull of the ship. And I'm looking for I know window isn't the right term on a ship.
Yeah, window, a port.
Yes.
Some sort. Yeah.
I'm looking for one of those towards the back of it, if possible.
Yeah, there are big ones on the back where it looks like a larger room, and there's also a few on the sides. Sort of like cannon slots, but they're just windows. They're not 4 cannons. Give me a stealth check.
Okay.
And then you can kind of tell me which one are you heading for.
Oh, that's nice. That's a natural 20.
So you've kind of hidden along the docks and you're moving beneath the docks, actually, where they meet the shoreline, going from dock to not beneath it. And then you kind of get into the water, swim out away from the other ships. And come up to it, and you can kind of press your feet up against it. And once you do, your feet kind of stick, and you begin to come up. Now, are you coming up on the back larger windows or the sides?
Vesper said that she sensed the egg being in the lower part of the ship. So I guess whichever is lower.
Okay, the side ones are lower, and there's a number you can choose from as you're walking up. As you are, you hear a just above, and you kind of lean forward with your feet, kind of turning them to the side as best as you can while still maintaining the hang. And you see a raider just hanging, holding their torch above the water, looking out to sea. But they don't look down. And eventually they turn and pass by as you continue kind of standing back up, walking forward, getting to one of the windows, looking in. Give me a perception check.
Not as good. That's a 10.
A 10, looking in. You see there's a space where it looks like there's a table. There's a few other, looks like cushions almost, numerous barrels. This looks like sort of a central room, and you can kind of see stairs up to the left. And you also see a door further to the left and a door further to the right on the inside. You do hear the occasional sloshing of liquid, drinks being had, and as you kind of just turn just a little bit, you can see there's 2 raiders on the inside sitting at the table.
And where are they in relation to the port that I'm looking through?
They're to your right.
To my right. Does it seem like all of the ports look into this central room, or there are others? Yeah, you can
see the ports on the other side too. They look into this kind of larger central room. There might be there's those others on the back, the larger windows, but that leads into a higher room.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll say with that natural 20, if you kind of look in to catch a better glimpse of the room, and you see they're drinking 2 raiders, one with a tattooed face, the other looks like a half-orc individual, and they're drinking. They don't look in your direction. They don't hear you, even though your head is kind of partially in, as you're invisible.
Okay. So I'm going to very carefully come in through, are there any ports that are further away from them?
Yeah, you can easily slide down away from them and then come in that port. And as you do with that natural 20, I'll say it carries through this and you get into the room. And they don't seem to be noticed you at all. They're drinking, haven't heard a thing.
Okay. Are either of the doors open?
You see the one to the left is open, and you can see looking through it, you see numerous bunks, several raiders sleeping, a few sitting down, a few are playing cards on their bunks. The one to the right is closed. As you look to the left, though, kind of around and beneath the stairs that lead up to the top deck, there's a hatch.
Okay. And That's in the room that I'm already in, not through the door?
Yes, it's in your current room, not through the door.
Okay, so I'm going to go for the hatch.
Okay, so you go through the hatch. This hatch is actually open. You just can't see from your angle, but as you curve around, you see there's stairs that lead down. As you go down, the rooms are smaller, and you see kind of this long hallway. And along it on both sides, you see kind of chained are numerous weapon racks. You see sets of armor that are kind of stacked in crates. And you see there's about 3 raiders towards the end of the ship at the back that seem to be digging around in some of the crates. And as you're looking around deciding where to go next, I'm going to hop back over to Kalvyn. So Kalvyn, you've decided, correct me if I'm wrong, to just go home to the farm, correct?
Right.
Okay. So you've just walked back home. You hadn't even needed to really go through the city to get there. You just head sort of south almost. You come along the farm, and you see the farm, and it's in the winter, so there's not much harvesting going on. But you get back home, your family welcomes you. They're catching you up about all they've done, about there's kind of wolves in the area, but they've fended them off. Fruity, as their nickname, your sister actually shot it. They did get away. But yeah, they welcome you back home, and your parents make you this spicy elk food. It's one of your favorites. And your father actually pulls out some whiskey and starts to pour it out for you after you've eaten and kind of caught up.
Okay. Is this like a moment after dinner where kind of the quote unquote men are sitting around or something?
It can be, yeah. If that's what you.
Yeah, probably when there's a moment, either with his brothers and his dad, or just his dad. He goes through explaining kind of, I mean, maybe with everybody there during dinner, he would have gone through the motions of explaining, where he's been, what's been going on, and then kind of elaborating about the ending when it's just him and his dad, or him and his brothers and his dad, saying that, yeah, there could be a 600 strong orc army heading this way at some point because of that King Kald and his half-sisters dispute that we unwillingly or unknowingly played a part in.
When you say this, your father kind of looks at your brothers and then kind of back at you. You can see concern on their faces. The farm is outside of the walls and is outside of the protection of the Covenant. If wolves attack, they generally have to deal with it. Covenant will come, but by the time they get there, it's useless. They're used to dealing with stuff on their own, but they can't really handle anything like what you're saying might be coming. Your dad actually takes a swig of his homebrewed whiskey and then refills his glass and refills yours and your brother's.
Just for a refresher, did we discuss as a group that we were going to try to wrangle up Kald and try to deliver him to Wormai?
Yeah, y'all discussed that y'all were going to deal with Kald, but y'all wanted to do that after Ellory did her thing on the ship.
Right.
So I'm just kind of jumping around with some scenes.
No. Yeah, I just at this point I wanted to be like, yeah, so that shit might happen, and then we kind of have a tentative plan to handle it as far as we know. If we can get Kald to Wormai, that's what she wants. We can maybe cut her off before she gets too close. Hopefully it won't come to anything, but it's a serious thing. We might need to think about making a semi-permanent stay in the town until stuff is resolved.
Yeah. They nod and your father agrees. We can stay in the city. I'm sure we have a little bit of reserve. We can pay our way. We could also get out of here. We're used to living on not much. We could live outside of the city, head south, call it extended camping trip if we have to.
Whatever you think is best, Pappy. I'm here for you. Just let me know what I can do to help.
Well, it sounds like you're helping plenty. And he pours you another glass. At this point, it's starting to hit all of y'all, but especially you and your dad can kind of had a few extra. I assume you're kind of unwinding from the trip.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he's pouring it, and I'm slogging it back. Like, yep, that's right. That's how you drink these things, right?
Yeah. And
Rusty
his homebrewed whiskey, which he does call Rusty Nail whiskey, is it's a bit like Fireball, but less cinnamony and more spicy. It's rough. Not bad. The initial bite is bad. But as you're drinking this and kind of it starts to go later into the night and the embers are beginning to burn down, there's a moment when you're kind of growing a little quiet, just contemplating what's going on and what you're going to how you're going to deal with these things. And you're just looking into the fire. And in that quiet moment, we'll hop over to Bál. So Bál, as you are leaving Ustax and you are traveling the several days to get back to Embershore, the feeling is kind of faded the further you get from Ustax and the further you get from the axe. But about 2 days or so after you've left, you have a dream one night. And in that darkness, like the remnants of a battle long ago fought, you see 3 weapons stuck into the ground: a great maul, an axe, and a sword. Old tattered cloth is whipped in the wind from their handles as you walk through the snow towards these weapons. As you get closer, you see they are monumentally massive, rising 40 to 60 feet in the air, carved with runes along the way. You hear drums with bass that shakes your chest. Not drums, footfalls. You hear them. And looking past the weapons, you see the silhouettes as they move towards the weapons. Massive creatures reaching as they pull out the weapons, the axe, the sword. And as the last one pulls out the maul, there's a sweeping blast of ancient force, and your vision goes black. You wake up that morning with a layer of frost across your face and shoulders and hands. That same sort of blurred, icy vision taking hold for just a moment. But you continue traveling the next couple of days, and on the day before you reach Embershore, another vision comes to you. But first, jumping over to George, the Wanderer. You look down and you're covered in blood. Your hands are shaking. You look around, it feels as though you've just woken up from a deep sleep. Where are you? What's going on? You look around and can only see a few feet in front of you, shrouded in fog. You hear screams of pain behind you, and they're suddenly silenced. And from that stillness comes an old, cackling laugh. You suddenly realize where you are and remember and begin to run forward through the fog towards the screams. You wake up from this daydream, from this nightmare, half memory, half dream, under the tree you've been napping beneath, the sun kind of warming your shoulders and hands, the salt in the air. You're getting close.
Okay.
And then Amsen. So you're in the copper sail. This is after a bit has happened with Ellory. You're gathering folks around, beginning to tell the tale of your journey. Give me a performance check as you begin to tell the tale.
All right, let's see how this goes. That's pretty good. That's a 23.
Okay. Yeah. As you tell this journey to Ustax, you actually gather a large crowd around you. Many have heard your stories and songs before, so they know it's going to be good, and they all kind of gather around and listen to it. There's always a minority that, like, you can tell they're not sure they actually believe everything that happened, but there's a large proportion that believe it, that see and hear about these actions of heroism and dread and terror and these sort of supernatural forces that y'all had to deal with all along the way. And give me a perception check.
Perception.
You're looking through the crowd of familiar faces.
Oh, this is so Amsen. 5.
5, okay. Yeah, as you're spanning across the crowd, familiar faces, locals of the copper sail, enjoying the story. Just at the end, as you're kind of getting off the stage, you notice in the back, there's a woman, and you don't get a good look at her, but a woman you haven't seen before. A woman that doesn't look like she would spend much time in the copper sail. She doesn't fit. The clothing doesn't fit. You see she has a crown of tiny colorful flowers around her head. She was leaned against the wall as if she was watching. But as you kind of get off the stage and the people kind of block your vision, by the time you get a good look at the door again, she's gone. Level 5. So coming back up to Ellory, you've moved into this lower room. You can see the raiders at the end just kind of digging through. Looks like they're either pulling arms or weapons out. And you can see as you look around, give me a perception check or investigation check. At advantage because of cunning fox.
Okay. That is a straight 10.
Okay. It takes you a little while as you're looking around. You see a lot of crates, and it looks like there's no doors but separate rooms almost, where this is not quite a cargo hold, but mostly for cargo they need to reach quickly, food, arm, torches, stuff like that. Not the deep storage. And you're looking around trying to find where this might be, because this isn't the lowest level. But as you are searching, give me a stealth check. Still at advantage because of the invisibility. But it's taking you a little while to kind of get through this room.
19.
Okay. As you're moving and searching for the next way downstairs, you almost step on some chains. You kind of feel your foot get caught on them, but you notice it in time and you kind of back your foot back up, down and around, leaving the chain still quiet. But with that, you take the next minute or so to go to the left towards the front of the ship, and you notice there's a hatch. This one's closed. It leads into the lowest cargo hold. Go to the hatch, and there are chains across it with one padlock in the center. It looks like it's holding it, chaining it closed.
Okay, and there's how many raiders are in there?
Looks like
in this level?
Looks like there are 3 towards the back.
Okay, and I'm towards the front now?
You're towards the front, so you're a good distance away, but there's no walls or there's no doors in between you and them. You're in a sort of separate room, but there's no door separating it.
Okay. So as quietly as I can, I'm going to, so I'm gonna try and pick the lock.
Thieves' tools. As you pull up the lock, begin to
16.
16. This one is tough, but it's not that bad. You twist it, and the chain's gonna go loose a little bit. Give me a sleight of hand check.
Okay. Hold on, let me check this. That is 12.
12? Okay. You unlock the chains and you begin to move them out of the way. And you've kind of positioned yourself to where you can see the raiders. You notice one of them kind of looks over their shoulder and looks back at your direction. They kind of squint their eyes for a few seconds, 30 seconds. Eventually they turn slowly back around and begin doing whatever they were doing before. Now you can open the hatch.
I wonder if this is an opportunity where I can use my empathic skill feat.
And what does that do?
So if I succeed on an insight check, then I can have advantage on rolls against I think it has to be a humanoid. What I'm thinking is trying to use that on the one that was kind of paying attention to me.
Insight check. Yeah.
Okay.
And you're just kind of seeing, like, if they're going to look back when they are, how suspicious they are. Do they think it's just a rat, or are they more concerned?
That's 17.
Yeah, as you look at him, he heard the chains move, but if he was more concerned that it was something more than just a rat or something, he would have already come over here. His hands haven't touched his weapons. He doesn't see a threat. So I would say you would have, I guess, double advantage on the stealth check.
Yeah, I guess I already had that with the invisibility. Yeah. But so I'm going to go ahead and very carefully try and open the hatch to go down.
Sure. Roll a stealth check. I had advantage.
That's 19.
Yeah. You kind of slide the chains up, holding them in place as you come down, and you kind of slowly close it above you while holding the chain in place so it doesn't rattle too much, and then drop it. But when it drops, it just very lightly as you come down into the bottom of the cargo hold. Looking around, you see numerous crates, barrels, everything lined up, and the bottom cargo hold is very tightly packed. There's not very much room for people, and the ceiling is actually a lot lower than this floor. You move towards the back because that's where you know it is, somewhere there. Give me an investigation check.
All right. And I might be, if it's really tightly packed, I might be just crawling on the ceiling at this point.
Okay, yeah, you can certainly do that to reach some of those crates that are behind other crates. Instead of standing on them, you just stand on the ceiling.
13 investigation.
Okay.
I just accidentally rolled that at advantage. So should I just re-roll?
Yeah, just give me a straight re-roll.
Okay.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, yes, I do. So
okay.
That
You're
was
supposed to do that.
Correct. Okay.
Okay, so 13. So you look around and there's a number of crates in the back. It takes you a good 10, 15 minutes to kind of look around these crates. Eventually you find one, and you're just kind of cracking it open, seeing what's in there. And you find one as you open it, and it's filled with straw. And in the center of it is a large iron chest. Looks heavy, looks important, looks like it has a pretty solid lock on it.
And as I was looking around, because I was wanting to keep an eye out for this as well, did I notice any crates or chests that had jewelry in them?
As you're searching, it looks like most of the stuff is food, wine, a few like rusty weapons, ingots. Like there's iron ingots and stuff like that is maybe the most valuable stuff. You have a feeling that any coin and jewelry are probably kept in King Kald's room.
Okay. So this chest, is it locked?
Yeah, there's a huge lock on it.
Okay. Then I'm going to try that lock.
Yeah, roll lockpick. These two tools as you try to...
That's not great. That's a 7.
This lockpick breaks. If there's a little piece left inside, you try to get most of it out, but it breaks.
Okay.
You can try it again.
Yeah, I'm going to try again.
It takes you a few minutes to get that piece out, pull out the other lockpick. Go ahead and roll.
That's much better. That's 22.
Okay. Which is good, because the DC was raised after that first one. But you're able to get most of the pieces out and get this second one and wiggle past that first piece and slowly get all of the pins in the right position, turning it slowly, and here it unlocks. Do you open it?
Before I do, I want to take a closer look and see if I see any signs of traps on this lock.
Investigation check.
Yes.
At advantage.
17.
Okay. It is trapped.
Okay.
You open it like a quarter inch, if that, and you notice there's a thin line that leads to the back where it looks like there's a vial of some sort of liquid. You're not sure what it does if you tripped it, but there's a little line that seems to be the trigger.
Okay, so I'm going to try to disarm that.
These tools using Dex as you try to take a tiny blade and cut it. You go and roll.
11.
So you slide it back in there. Cut it. You pull the blade out. You lift it just a minute and you hear it. And there is this green noxious fumes that are exposed out of the chest as the glass breaks, unable to fully disarm it. Make a con save.
Okay. That's good. That's 22.
Okay. So you just you take only 12 points of poison damage.
Ouch. That's still painful.
Kind of breathing this stuff in, coughing just a bit. But as you open it and the poison clears a bit, there is an egg about the size of like a football. This just looks like solid iron. It's heavy. It's very heavy. And you pick it up. You get the exit. Give me a stealth check.
Okay.
You come back up the hatch.
Same for both of them, so that's 22.
22. Okay, you slowly slide, looking through the crack, slide out the hatch, lowering it. Do you take the time to lock it back, or do you just go?
Are those raiders still where they were before?
They're in the back, but they haven't noticed you.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try to lock it again.
Okay, so you just... It's pretty easy, but you do lock it back. You move forward out that hatch, back upstairs into the middle area, and there's a port cutlass, and you can exit to either side. The So your invisibility is still good. The inspiration is probably faded by now. But at this point, you usually need to get out. Give me one more stealth check to kind of climb. Yep.
How much time is left on the invisibility?
Probably 20 minutes. By the time you had to get to it, get up, do all this, come back out.
Okay. So I think what I'd like to do as I'm going out is actually climb up to the higher level, which is, I'm guessing, where Kald's cabin is.
Okay. Yeah.
And I want to just take a look inside, see if he's in there or not.
Yeah, give me a stealth check to get there. And as you're doing that, I'm actually going to hop back over to Kalvyn.
That's 15 for stealth.
15, okay. So, Kalvyn, as that quiet moment hits and you're staring at the embers of this bonfire outside, the cool winter air, you're protected from it by the flames of the bonfire and the whiskey, the pretty significant whiskey at this point. As you're staring at the embers of the fire pit, you watch as the fire kind of dances between the wood and embers, like the transient images of like clouds as they pass, images forming in your mind. And as the fire begins to burn down over time, you see the embers begin to go dark. You see them forming charcoal. You see the center of this forming darkness, a line of embers remain lit, burning bright, like a tower. The topmost ember burns brightest like a lighthouse in the void until it too burns out. That top ember goes out, and then the second and third, going down the line. The tower, burning bright in the void, vanishes. You blink a few times and kind of shake your head a bit and come back, and you're just watching the still burning fire pit. You're almost awoken from this daydream as your father puts another piece of wood on the fire pit, stirring some of the ashes back up.
Okay. So let me get this straight. So it was like a lighthouse that looked like it was like the levels were going down?
It looks like it was a lighthouse in the void, and the lighthouse went out too. And there was just darkness.
I don't know what to make of that. I don't have a clue.
You take another sip of rusty nail whiskey.
Yeah, maybe this will bring some wisdom along with the age of whatever barrel it came from.
Okay, probably a rusty nail barrel. Okay, but as you take another sip, we jump back over to Bál. One night you're getting close enough to where you can smell the salt in the air again. And after your watch, you fall asleep and a second vision takes hold. A few days after the first, you see an endless void of night stretching across as they beat, like waves upon the gate. Splintering, shattering, the last gate falls. The huge horned beasts charge forward with black claws, ember yellow eyes, and burning footprints left in their wake. Fear fills your heart as you look on, until the sounds of their roars and the battle fades away. You feel two warm hands upon your back like sunshine, and as you turn to look, you see the silhouette of a female, outlined by bright silver gold light, her wings outstretched. The light briefly blinds you, and the vision fades to white, and you awake the next morning to the warmth of the sunlight peeking through the trees and the visage of a bird flying above with white wings as it passes over the pine trees.
I think I must have had some rusty nail whiskey too, or something's up.
Yeah, you've had visions in the past, but they're not usually so close together. They're not usually so frequent.
Yeah, I think I'll spend the day kind of just outside trying to, like in nature, trying to reflect on what these mean.
Okay. As you're reflecting, George, you are beginning to reach the city, and you come after a few nights of camping by the coast, with the nights camping by the deep orange yellow glowing waves from the stones beneath them. And you finally see the city. You can see the docks and the gates as you're coming from the south. It's been a long time as you kind of walk into the city. There's a commotion. It's busy. You can kind of see people going into one location, it seems. Kind of following their lead a little bit, you begin to notice people gathering. Did you want to do anything in particular?
Go see what the commotion is.
Okay. So you head in that direction. And then I think, so Ellory, you said 15, so you're able to get up. There are the rotating guards, and they do You don't make much of a noise, but there's every now and then there's a footstep, and the guards kind of look in that direction, like they heard something, but they kind of shrug as if it was just a rat. They don't. The few noises you make aren't enough to get them to look a second time. As you move, there's no windows from the top deck. There's just the door. On the back, you can walk around the side and see windows. You can look in that way.
Yeah, that's what I had in mind, to look from outside.
Sure. So you walk around the outside looking in. As you do look in, you don't see King Kald, but you do see his wife. She's kind of at the desk. There's sort of a desk kind of half built into the wall where she's sitting down, and you're not sure what she's doing. The windows are kind of smudged up. They're not very clean.
So what does she look like?
She's thin with long ropey muscles. She has dark hair. She appears, even at this hour, to be in armor. You can see short blades and an axe on her sides. And even the way she's sitting, you can see a dagger is just kind of half hidden in the small of her back. She probably has a few others on her as well. She's leaning over something. She could be writing or reading or mixing something. It's hard to tell what she's doing.
So seeing that the cabin is not empty, I'm going to go ahead and take the egg and get out of there.
Okay. So the last part is pretty easy. As you're basically made it out of the ship, you get to the water, swim back up underneath the docks. The invisibility begins to run short. You could use voyages if you wanted to be sure that it doesn't run out and you get all the way out, or you can kind of take the small chance that someone might notice you. Because at this point, you can feel it's about to flicker out when you're on the shore and a good 2 docks away from the ship. So it's kind of up to you whether you want to save it or use it just in case.
Yeah, I think I'll save it.
Okay.
I'll take the chance.
Okay. Yeah, so it flickers out, but you still remain crouched, moving underneath the docks, eventually come back to the meeting place where the group is all kind of congealed together. Kalvyn has gone to his family, but you all kind of reconvene, and I believe y'all's next move was to move into the city.
Yeah, so at this point, I'm going to ask for the badge back from Amsen, take off the mask. I do want to take a closer look at the egg. I guess, see if there's anything interesting that I notice about it besides the fact that it's an egg made out of iron.
Okay. Do you have nature?
No.
Okay. Just looking at it, it's heavy. It feels like it's solid iron. It's covered in almost tiny scales is the right word. It's more like interline plates. But yeah, it's heavy. You don't notice any runes. There's no crack in it. There's no hinge or anything like that. It's just a solid, heavy egg. There's no noise as you shake it. Whatever creature if it was a creature that laid this egg, that would have to be massive. If it was crafted probably by dwarves because it's all of the scale plates are very symmetrical and well crafted if that's how it was created.
Well, this is interesting, but I think it's time for us to be doing what we need to do. So I am going to stash, let's see, we're outside of the city now?
Yeah.
And I didn't run into Voyage along the way or anything. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to stash the egg down in the bottom of my backpack.
Okay. And it weighs down that backpack pretty heavily. And we'll say too, Kalvyn, if y'all wanted to have said this, would have been reasonable if you wanted to have planned to come back on that certain day when you know she would be finishing up, that we all meet outside the city at the same time. That could certainly be reasonable to get you all in the same place.
And while they're all meeting up, Wink will, as prearranged, from his room that he has been holed up in all day, presumably because he's being watched, will cast Disguise Self to be a slightly shorter person in a similar mask that Ellory was wearing. I'm going to use the grappling hook to jump out the window and just run out of town.
Okay. Give me an acrobatics check.
Okay. I don't even have that sheet pulled up. Where are you? I'm good at that. Hopefully. It is 20.
Okay, yeah. You open up the window, grapple hook to a building not too far on the other side, grapple down, land, and just start running, taking off. You notice a few raiders on the front door kind of look around to the alleyway and just begin sprinting after you. As soon as they pass by other raiders, they kind of join in, not really knowing what they're chasing. It seems like the ones that are watching you kind of know that some of the others are just kind of joining in and just sprint after Wink. As Wink runs out of the city.
Yep. Okay. Eventually I'll find a way to lose him.
Yeah, with advantage in stone areas. Yeah, Wink exits out of the front gate, running into the forest, being chased by probably 12 raiders, and they're just sprinting after him. And we'll say the rest of y'all kind of see Wink with a pretty hefty lead sprinting by. And I'm going to kind of see through the trees that you're kind of crouched in. You see Wink run by, and then a few minutes later, or 30 seconds later, you see a bunch of raiders chasing after him. And they pass by as well.
Oh, I wonder what we missed being out of town for so long. We get back and there's a party.
Are we all together here?
Yeah, you guys are all together at this point. And we'll say about this time is when Kalvyn kind of comes out of the woods, knowing where y'all were to meet by the trail. And you're all together now.
Could I ask for a quick opinion from all of you?
Sure.
Do you think I should try and find Voyage and hand off this egg while you go and see Kald, or before we all go see Kald together, or should I be holding on to this while we go see him? I'm not sure how much of a risk I should take with it.
I don't know if it's safe for you to have it.
I would suggest getting rid of it as soon as possible. That way you're not caught with it. If we are talking to Kald, and I imagine a bunch of his raider friends would be there as well to hear the news, I would assume that there would be quite a few of the raiders distracted, and you could meet Voyage in some sort of back alley somewhere on the other side of town.
Alright, so I think I'll do that. Go look for him.
Ball, do you think you're ready to go see him?
I don't know when I will be ready. So maybe now is the best time.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
So the group is moving in towards Kald, except for Ellory, who's going to go fight Voyage. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the large majority of the group is easily spotted. You guys are easy to see, especially with Ball. There's a few raiders that you'll pass, and they kind of look over, immediately see Ball. A few of them run off. You know who they're going to go tell. And before you're even halfway to the docks, there's raiders that are kind of following you, flanking you, walking in front of you. They're not getting too close. They're keeping a good 15 feet kind of area around you. None of them have their weapons out, but they're watching you, following with you as you go towards the docks. As you get closer to the docks, by the time you are getting close to it, close to the Disick Harbor, the Temple to Voltameri, you can see looks like the bulk of the raiders are staying in and around this area. Looks like a large number of them have been sleeping in the temple or beside it. And as you kind of look up the stairs that lead to that overturned ship at the top of the temple, you can see King Kald is kind of just standing at the top of the stairs, arms folded, looking down at the rest of you.
I might need a bit of a refresher. I had to leave late, or like last time, or before.
Yeah.
We agreed on this part. So I don't know if I'm on the same page as everyone. I don't know exactly what the goal here is.
As far as I know, we're just porting that you gave the axe, she kept it, and is waiting for him to return it to him personally.
Okay, we didn't agree to do any kind of extracurricular activities here.
We currently do not have a plan, but the idea, which is, how we roll, but the idea that floated around was if he isn't willing to engage on his own volition, then we find a way to force him. But I don't think, this is the appropriate setting to attempt to bend his will. I could be wrong.
You don't want to wait for us to be surrounded by hundreds of raiders and then make our move?
Hey, I'm down. I'm down to clown.
Hey, it sounds like fun.
And there's no Vesper to hold me back or anything, so I'm down. I'm just I mean, if this is your show, my friend. And
speaking of which, is Vesper with us here, or like?
Yeah, she's with you.
Okay, yeah. So she technically is around to hold me back.
But yeah, I think the basic plan right now is basically just tell King Kald that she's expecting him at her fortress, basically.
Right. Okay.
And that she's down to talk about business, whatever business that they have.
Right. Got it. Okay. So yeah, sorry. Klouse, could you repaint the scene? It was.
Yeah. So just as you're thinking back to your plan, just to talk to Kald. Y'all came in, are currently surrounded by raiders, where it looks like the bulk of them are at the temple to Voltameri, the Odysseus harbor, and the temple to which is an overturned boat on sort of a hill. And up the stairs at the top of the hill is King Kald. Lining the stairs down, or surrounding you at the base, and all up behind Kald are raiders. And he's just standing at the top of the stairs, kind of looking down at you, arms folded. And he's in his classic, like, no shirt, but has like a wolf fur cloak over his shoulders. Just like basic pants, like no armor. It has multiple chains and jewelry all over his hands. Definitely not his. They're his now. And he's just kind of looking down, waiting.
Like close enough to talk to, or I guess.
Okay. He's like 35 feet away.
Yeah, I think Bál will continue to approach. Like he does. I'm not looking intimidating by any means. Just kind of like, I'm here to talk to you kind of vibe.
Yeah. Yeah, you walk up the stairs. Does the group follow him as Bál begins to step forward up the stairs? Okay.
Maybe like a step behind.
Yeah. So following behind Bál, kind of heading up the stairs. You get to near the top where Kald is. He's just standing at the top, just kind of looking. You can see his eyes searching, kind of looking around quickly to see what you have on you.
Yeah, I'll look at him and say, we have returned. I have done as you asked.
Yeah, I see that. What'd she say?
She was not too happy, but she is ready to meet you.
Ready to meet me, how?
She says you know where to find her.
That I do. Did she keep my axe? Or did she send it back?
She has it.
Kind of looks around. You can see, not too far behind him, you see his wife with her dark brown hair. Just kind of standing there. Both of her hands are on her weapons, and she's eyeing you closely. Well, sounds like I need to go speak to her. Sounds like I'm going to need to teach her a lesson. She knows who that ox belongs to. She knows she's just a bastard, and she knows who I am. Tell me, how did she react when she saw you walking up? She looked pissed. He kind of smiles, and the raiders around kind of like half-heartedly smile. You can tell they like react to however his emotions are at the time.
That diamond almost did not last very long.
Well, I'm sure you're glad to be back. Sounds like we're going to war. As he says this, there's kind of a rumbling behind him with the raiders. They're kind of like banging their shields a little bit. Give a little bit of rowdy murmur that kind of spreads through them. He turns to the bulk of the raiders, and he repeats his statement. Yeah, that. It sounds like we're going to war. And as he does that, there's a roar across the raiders. He holds his hand up into the air. You can see his veins popping out as he flexes his arm. And he does this for an odd amount of time. 10, 20, 30 seconds go by. And then Bál and then the rest of you start to hear this. And bursting out of the clouds from the northwest, you see something coming out of the sky. You see this spinning axe flying through the air, and as it comes towards Kald, it slams into his hand, almost knocking the guy over, and he's pretty big, but he catches it and then kind of pulls it back, and as he does, raising it into the air, the raiders go out again. He immediately points to a raider. Call him back. We leave. at sunrise tomorrow. And as he says that, horns go off. 3 horns. A few seconds pass, 3 horns. A few seconds pass, 3 horns. Kald turns back towards you, Bál, and kind of puts his hand on your shoulder, or as close to your probably bicep. He doesn't reach all the way up there. He's pretty big, but not that big. Kind of taps it, pulls you a little lower to his level. Now, we paid them off this time, but if Embershore fucks with me again, I'll be back to take their shit too. You understand?
I think I'll just look at him.
He kind of push it. You look at him and he kind of lets go, and is smiling, invigorated with this new idea of conquest, going to fight his sister. The horns go off, and over the next couple of seconds, as he kind of leads around you, raiders start grabbing stuff, packing it back up in crates, taking it back towards the ship. You see raiders coming from out the city and moving towards the docks over the next couple hours or so.
Can I interject?
Please.
I'm not great, but I would really like to roll an insight check to see if he is actually going to go to Wormeye.
Yeah, roll an insight check.
Oh, that's good. That's a 16.
Like I said, he looks excited about the idea of battle and fighting, especially with his sister. You get the feeling this whole thing was just an excuse to go to war. And he was just kind of going through the motions, or not sure if he's toying with people or what he was doing, but he definitely is excited about going to fight his sister.
Okay. I'm a little less worried.
Yeah. But between your insight of reading his facial expressions and the evidence of like all the raiders moving towards the ships, like you feel confident like they're going to at least leave for some amount of time.
And then, when that was that like the axe that boomeranged back to him? Is that a familiar axe?
It's a very familiar axe. It's
as in
Drone Ball's axe. Yeah, as it comes into the giant bearded axe, he catches it, and he doesn't ever stow it away. He just holds it in his hand, excitedly, like jumping around like a little kid on Christmas almost, just like grabbing a random raider and shaking their shoulder, smiling and laughing.
Do I still get that kind of icy sensation around it?
With its present, it wasn't there before, but with it being so close, it's there.
Okay.
Did we ever get the story as to how Embershore fucked with him in the past? Or is this new information that we're like, oh shit, so we did something wrong and now we're going, I don't know, in conjunction to what he said earlier to Bál?
You didn't get any indication that something happened in the past. Standing right there, you get the feeling he's more just a person that raids villages and doesn't follow the rules, and he's followed the rules here, and it seems like he just is emphasizing that just because he followed it this time doesn't mean he always will.
Okay, I thought there was some, this was some show of power or something. He's like, see, I did it this time because you guys, because you called me, or I don't know, called him out or something, and then next time he'll actually raid our village or town, city.
You're halfway there. Like it seems like a threatening thing to say as sort of a power move. Just saying, just because you're in the clear now doesn't mean I won't be back. As this is also happening, George, you're wondering, the Wanderer, we'll call him for now, has been in the general vicinity and has kind of seen a lot of people gathering, moving through the city, and moved to this general area. And you've kind of watched this giant man and several other individuals walk up, talk to these other people. Horns are blowing. People are running towards various ships, and the city is just alive with fervor.
I'll just kind of listen, see if I can figure out what happened. But then after a while, I'll probably just go to the docks and see when the next ship that I need to take is going to be leaving.
Okay. Yeah, as you go to the docks, you can see these barbarian raider-looking individuals are going towards a few of the ships, but there's a number of other ones. It looks like there's a golden elf ship, as well as a dwarven vessel and a human vessel that seem to be unrelated to those barbarian ships.
All right, I'll just try and see when the next time there is a ship already moving out, not commissioning my own trip.
Okay. So kind of asking between the three, It looks like the one that's going to be moving next is a very beautiful elf ship. It's a kind of a smaller skiff. It's not massive. These ships are usually fast, and they're leaving probably in the next week or so. And they're heading east across the seaboard and back towards Western first, and then Diano after that.
Okay. Then I'll just find a place to stay and wait around for when they're going to leave.
Okay. Not too difficult. As you're doing that, the rest of you, I assume, are going somewhere else, or are you just staying? Where are you going?
If we're kind of aimless, I'll kind of shrug and indicate towards our usual spot.
Okay.
Whatever.
Yeah, going back to the copper sail. Sure. Okay, so as you're moving back towards that, Ellory, you ask around and find out, well, Voyage is at the copper sail. You go in and find him, and he kind of pulls you off. There's a side room that's partially attached to the bar. It's like a separate room with a small window that opens into the bar. He kind of ushers you in there. The door closes behind you as you see another tiefling kind of close it. Behind you, a tiefling with red skin with sort of an orange hue to it. You haven't seen this tiefling before, but he seems quiet and seems more like a bodyguard than anyone. As you walk into the room, you see Voyage sits down at the table. So, did you...
I don't even say anything. I just start digging in my backpack to pull out.
Right. As he sees you digging in, he gets up. He orders 2 drinks from the bar. They give them to him. He puts them on the table, and he closes that window to the bar to where you're in a totally separate room. All right, pull it out.
All right, I do so. So, this makes us square?
Square. You've done an excellent job. As he kind of takes it, feels the weight, and kind of looks it over a bit before putting it into a pocket into his jacket.
Is it safe for me to assume that Mogther doesn't know anything about this?
He knows we have some sort of arrangement, but nothing to this extent. For all he knows, you already paid me back, and you have, technically.
Somehow I get the feeling that he wouldn't be too pleased if he knew the details.
No, he's a bit more cautious than you are, but the cautious don't get rewards like this. He smiles, and he's a friendly enough tiefling, but it's always weird when a tiefling smiles and it's just full of sharp teeth. All of them are sharp. But he smiles.
If you don't mind my asking, what did you want this for? It's very specific.
It's very valuable. I think this might be the first one in Embershore. Probably one of very few that ever have been above ground, that have seen sunshine.
What is it exactly?
It's an iron egg.
What? An egg of what?
You know, some deal in poisons or steal things, and I like to deal in information. I could tell you, if you're willing to pay. 50 gold, and I'll tell you the creature.
That's a bit steep for me at the moment.
Oh, that's an iron egg.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Have a drink on me. And he kind of pushes the beer towards you.
All right, I go ahead and take a drink.
He cheers you excitedly, drinks it down. After he kind of knocks it back pretty quickly. Well, I now have business to attend to. An important business. And you've been integral in letting it be set up and letting it happen. I thank you so much. But I do have meetings coming up. I could excuse myself.
Of course. As always, it's a pleasure doing business with you.
He smiles and kind of taps your shoulder on the way out as his bodyguard apparently opens the door for him and they both exit the room. You see Mogther immediately opens the side window and kind of just squints at you. Give me those cups. And you're going to give them and he takes them.
All right.
Brings them back. As you exit that private room, about that time is when the rest of the group kind of comes in.
I definitely go straight over to them. Well, looks like everybody's alive, so that's good.
Yeah. I think the problem's kind of taking care of itself. Kald looks very invigorated at the notion of meeting his sister. So, crisis averted.
I kind of got the impression he was looking for a fight.
I think you will find it. What now?
Kalvyn's going to go over to the bar and order a drink. Two drinks and knock one back immediately.
Yeah, they put it, whatever you ask for, ale or whatever. What do you ask for? Ale or beer?
Whiskey.
All right, sure. They put 2 glasses for you, pour them both. Knock the first one back. Put it on the other side.
Keep him coming.
That sounds like an excellent idea.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, let's take a day or two to rest and talk things out before we decide on what we're doing. I don't know about all of you, but I'm exhausted.
Yeah, I'm ready for things to slow down a bit.
Yes. I too need to do some thinking.
To be honest, I think we all do.
That's for sure.
I'll either be here or my house or the temple, so if anybody wants to talk, I'm here.
And what about the rest of you?
I think I'm going to be mostly here.
Then we will be easy to find.
Kalvyn, are you sticking around town?
Kalvyn's notably distracted, and when you say his name, he startles at what?
No, I think that what?
Are you going to be around town much for the next little while?
I'll probably be close. Probably be back at the farm more often than not.
Not heading back to the tower right away?
No, I don't think so. Definitely not right away. I'll, like what y'all are saying, I got some thinking to do.
Well, it'll be good to have you closer.
So,
he just kind of nods.
Did you guys are you guys just going to take a few days and rest up before you set out, or what's the plan? Kind of relaxing for a few days, take a few days off, see your family, relax. Is that the general idea?
Where are we setting off to?
Or whatever your next thing is.
I think that's part of the problem. Vesper was the driving force of the next the next journey.
Yeah.
Well, I do have a couple of specific things that I want to do and a few more general things. I don't know, does anybody have particular plans?
I'm always open. I'm along for whatever adventure anybody wants to drag me on.
I need to pay Kalvyn to fix my armor.
Ah, yeah, that's right.
You might need to get Donovan to work on that. I'm not sure how frequently I'm going to be at the mine. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'll talk to Donovan about it. We'll sort it out. Just, I guess, if you don't mind, just leave it there. I'm not going to carry that around. That shit's so big.
Ball, I have to go back to my house and see my animals anyways. When I go over there, you can come with me, and we can talk to my father about it. Alright?
Okay. Yeah.
So, do y'all get over there?
Yeah, sure, we could do that.
Okay. You're going over there. Kalvyn, what did you say you were doing? Are you just drinking? Just get an idea of where you guys are going and what you guys are doing.
A lot. Is there how big is Embershore?
It's a medium-sized city.
Is there like a library, or maybe even at a library at the temple, a small library section of books, stuff I could read up on?
There's there's a shoddy bookstore. There's one main library, but you have to be part of the Nexus to be able to get in. But Melly, her dad works there. So with Melly, you could get into this library, and it's very nice and very big. So you could get in there if you worked with her.
I guess I'd probably doing a little bit of that. I need to, he's got to do a lot of introspection. I think, I don't know the words. But Kalvyn's not there. He's not all, I don't know. He's kind of messed up right now.
Okay. just in general, do you guys want to act like this is sort of downtime stuff, or did you guys want to sort of play out some of these scenes? So the downtime will get it through quicker, depending on what you guys want to do.
Yeah, I have some stuff that's just downtime and maybe one or two things that might end up being scenes, depending on how it goes.
All right, so we'll say Bál and Amsen, you'll go back up to the forge. See your parents, your dog, Bjorn, runs out, jumps on you, licks all over your face, probably knocks you to the ground, just kind of licking all over your face, so you finally are able to get up. Your dad doesn't notice you at first. Donovan is slaving away. You notice more than usual. Looks like he hasn't been sleeping. He is sharpening every axe, every blade. He is repairing handles. He is repairing armor of all the raiders, and especially now. Like he looks like he's probably going to be working through the night before they leave, repairing all these things. There's just a stack of short swords that he has and daggers that he has to sharpen.
I'm going to inspire my own father.
You can say at first, like, that old instinct to, like, say, why don't you actually pick up a hammer instead of just singing about it, comes out, but then he just, like, channels it and just gets in the flow and the zone of just hammering these things, grindstoning these things out.
Yeah. So there's my bardic inspiration.
He does take a short break to come, once he notices you, get off the thing, come over, hug you. It's sort of an awkward hug where he puts it around and then kind of like, oh, and kind of reaches in and shakes your shoulders almost. Your mom comes out elegantly, looking at the both of you.
Hi.
It's been a while.
I know. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah. Busy.
Yeah, I see that. We're going to...
Glad you made it. Your mom kind of speaks to me and says, oh, yeah, we're glad you made it back.
Thank you. It's good to be back. And I kind of look at my mother, specifically. Thank you for taking care of the animals. I'm sorry, but I didn't know that they were permanent.
Your father came around. He served as good company for him late at night. It's been busy. These raiders, I've heard they're leaving tomorrow. It's good.
Yeah. I kind of look at my dad at this point. You don't have to do it now. We're going to be staying for a little bit. Before we even decide what we're doing next. But maybe after the raiders leave, do you think you could work on Bál's armor? It's torn up pretty bad.
He kind of looks over at Bál and like sees the huge chinks in the chainmail, which is already built for horses anyway.
Yeah, while he's looking at it, I'm like, it is made for a horse. I am not a horse.
I can see that. Yeah. He kind of says after and kind of points over his shoulder, and you see these stacks of fucking weapons. And you see a few other raiders just like come over and just throw a weapon and like leather armor that's half destroyed just over the side railing and just piling. And he's like, I get a lot of coin though. Yeah, I can take a look at it.
Again, you don't have to look at it right away. You can work on this stuff. They're leaving tomorrow anyways, so.
Yeah. I probably add some plates to it. Some thin sheets. Round out the shoulders a bit. Make it not look like horse armor. Yeah, give me a few days though. After I finish this stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll talk the specifics of it. The cost is, what about your friend that used to help me? Think he'd mind, using that hammer of his on some of the stuff?
He could probably. Yeah. I can fetch him in a bit.
Yeah, I had an apprentice, but he started a few days ago, quit not too long after the raiders made him cry. I won't get into it.
Thank you. Bál, do you want to see my animals?
Okay, I like dogs.
Okay.
You can also see my horse too.
Is this his armor?
I'm gonna have to ask Kalvyn about that. I don't think so.
Ball says that as he takes off the armor and leaves it. Donovan, to work on some of these things. And you notice even your mom, she kind of gets back on, she gets on the grindstone and kind of does some of the lighter work while he starts hammering on some things.
So I will show Ball, Bjorn, the dog, and Fernal, the horse.
And you saw the dog kind of jump on you and you come around to see the horse. Did you maybe vaguely remember when you first saw it, when you were first waking up?
Yeah, I'd say I probably don't remember it at all. I guess I wouldn't really know to pay extra attention to a horse. So yeah, maybe I don't really recognize it.
Yeah, it's a big draft horse. Looks like it can haul a lot. Definitely pull a plow. Looks strong. Looks like he's been put to use too. They probably used him moving ingots and iron and various materials throughout the Nexus. So, jumping over, Kalvyn, were you going to the library? Were you looking for anything in particular, or are you just doing some introspection?
I think if we're going to have a little bit of downtime stuff, that'll be more of what he does. He'll probably just stay at the bar for the time being. At this particular moment, he wouldn't have left the bar. If we get downtime, then I'll find some way to get into the library and look up some things, kind of. It's not going to be, it's mostly for flavor fluff, what he ends up reading. We could talk about it if you want. Otherwise, it's just basically the lighthouse and how everything went. He's kind of, reflecting and trying to buyer's remorse kind of on the whole tower deal and trying to figure out what his next step is.
Okay. Yeah. You can certainly do that. George, as you're leaving to find your place to stay, you have a strange feeling come up the back of your neck, like a presence, beyond just the people that are around you in the crowd.
Can I try and find the source of it?
The feeling on your back of your neck as you're kind of looking around trying to find the source, you have a strong feeling sort of away from the crowd towards an alley that's a bit dark. And while you don't see anything there, you feel a presence of something beyond humans, or the elves, or the few dwarves or tieflings that are moving around in this area as you're leaving the city.
Can I use divine sense to see if I can sense anything?
You do sense something. You sense something abnormal and aberration upon this world. Something beyond. A strong presence. And yet you don't see any particular thing. You just feel that presence from that alleyway.
I'm going to just note that and avoid it.
Okay. Yeah, you turn away from it and begin to walk away, kind of pushing through the crowd, coming to the south gate and exiting out of it to find your place. Ellory, what were you doing sort of for your downtime type?
Well, to start with, I'm going to take some time to talk to my family and tell them about everything that's happened in the last couple of weeks. Can't quite make it as entertaining as Amsen would, but I do my best. And I think after Shurza goes to bed, I'm going to stay up and tell Mogther everything about the prison. Everything that I experienced there.
He's listening, and when you're first telling the first parts of the story, he kind of starts to realize it's serious, and he starts to bring out a bottle of alcohol, the same bottle he brought up before, and then begins to pour it and listen. And you can see as you get about halfway through his story, he goes from like concern to anger. You can see he's angry at this individual. I'm sorry. I don't know what I can do about it. There's got to be something.
I don't know if there is anything to do about it besides make sure everyone is really, really careful.
I've heard things from people before I wasn't sure how truthful they would be. This is why can be hard on you. I don't want you to get in. I didn't know it was going to be like this. I didn't know you were in there for that long, dealing with that. Would have tried to get you out more than I did.
There's only so much you could have done. I mean, Vesper tried to, and she wasn't able to do anything about it.
I know people. I've been here. I didn't know it was like that. I thought maybe you'd be more careful next time. I didn't know you were dealing with that. Do you know where he lives?
I think he lives down there. Look, don't...
I'm going to talk to some people. See what they know, and maybe something will come of it.
Just be careful.
I will. He pours you another glass. He kind of gets up and hugs you, puts his arms around you.
I'm glad to be home.
I'm glad you're home. Stay around for a while.
Well, a little while anyway. I think I might be gone for a while. Not immediately, but soon.
Gone where? Another mountain?
Vesper wants to take a pilgrimage, and I think we're all going with her.
That's a long way.
Yeah.
It's across the sea.
There's a part of me that just wants to stay here, and there's a part of me that thinks I need to get some time away.
I can help you here. I mean, I can't help you there. When?
I'm not sure. We need to take some time to make arrangements to figure out exactly what we're doing. But as soon as I have a better idea of the timing, I will let you know.
I wasn't from here. I understand traveling. And you know now from your journey just as much as I do that the world is not safe. There's not many places like it here that are mostly safe. Just think about it.
I will.
He hugs you again before you kind of go back and kind of get in your bed once again. As you're kind of taking a few days, resting up, relaxing, kind of recovering, talking, catching up with your family and friends, doing researching, Bál, your armor is repaired.
Okay, actually, if possible, I wanted to see if I could...
And improved is what you want to do.
Yeah, because I was going to hint if there was some way I can, get an improvement as well.
Yeah, he can. And you can suggest what you were looking at.
Yeah, I effectively just wanted to get something that's like a higher AC.
Okay.
Because I know right now I was using something kind of makeshift.
Yeah, and I believe it's 13 right now, correct?
No, it definitely wasn't 13.
Was it 16?
Yeah, I have 16 written down here.
Okay. What's your strength?
16.
Okay. He can bump it up to 17 for 125 gold. And that's just the materials. He's not charging you extra to add plates onto it to repair the spots and to bump it up to 17. He could bump it up higher, but it would cost more.
I'll have to check with the group because right now my character sheet says I have 1 gold, which doesn't sound right. But yeah, I'll let you know later on whether or not I can afford it.
He seems, with you being with Amsen, he seems open to giving a discount since it's sort of helping Amsen as well. As the rest of you are kind of doing other downtime stuff, a few days pass, and the 28th hits, and there's no electricity about the city. George, your character, notices this as well, as this is the 28th of Long Night, the last day of the month, the last day of winter. And on this day is the Sacrament of Starfall. It's also called Starfall, and it's a holy holiday marked by a meteor shower that lasts for about an hour that ends at midnight. You are fairly aware that it's the day that marks when the sky fell. The material plane was almost blended in with a fallen plane. The planes were prevented from clashing together as numerous stories are told and retold about the champions of the gods. And each year, this meteor shower occurs, and the faithful of these champions and just even general people kind of stay up late and sort of celebrate this day. There's drinking. There's a bit of a festival that occurs. The festival's smaller than usual because of the raiders. People were worried about attending. The raiders left the next day, packed up everything, and left all of their ships and sailed north, which is in the right direction they should be. So there's a bit of a festival that's occurring as numerous booths are getting set up. There's more tieflings in the city than there normally are. Looks like they've come in for this festival trying to make a little bit of coin. And George, your character, would notice this as well, as he sees more people are kind of heading into the city. Were you guys going to participate in the festival, or just kind of enjoy it and move through?
If people are telling stories, which I would imagine there would be, being a festival, Amsen will be listening very carefully for any new stories that he has not heard of before.
Okay. Going there, make a perception check, we'll see. I'm just kind of listening out for those stories.
I would say Kalvyn would probably be with him.
Okay.
I'd probably be there too.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a really terrible perception check. That's an 8.
An 8, okay. You don't
actually
hear anyone. Yep.
I'm going to use luck. I forgot that I had luck. Is that cool?
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
That's not much better. That's an 11.
Okay. You don't hear stories about the champions themselves. You do hear a few people kind of hitting each other on the shoulder, like, can you believe that's crazy? As they're walking away, as you kind of see where they're heading from, you notice another group, and you see this man just like sorrowful, like looking like his family died, and he's just like walking out with his wife and kids, and his wife is kind of holding him through. It's okay, and they're walking out. They're coming from the same direction. As you notice, there is a wagon, no horse, but a wagon with intricately carved wood, and it looks like there's several tieflings floating around them. There's a number of these wagons, and this one seems to be where they were coming from. And there's something they're talking about, and you catch bits of little stories here and there. It's not sure, can you believe it? I was king, and all this stuff as they're exiting from this area, from this wagon.
Well then.
As you do get closer, you notice there's a few chairs lined outside, and there's a sign that says, "Get your fortune told."
Kind of Ellory and Kalvyn are here, right?
Yeah, I think everyone is there, unless you're not.
Kind of looking around at the other bronze scales that are with me, and I'll say, so, who wants to go first?
Kalvyn is trying not to be eager, but there's like a little skip in his step, like,
I shove him forward
person to person.
Well, I mean, I can do it. I'll go first. Y'all aren't too scared or something. I mean, I don't know. Nobody else was gonna do it.
Just go ahead, Kalvyn. Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah, yep. Rolls up his sleeve and then walks on in.
Okay. As you kind of press through the curtain, you see there's old upholstered benches to left and right. You see a table in the center, in the center of which you see a globe that's cloudy. Light is moving around inside of it. And on the other side, you see a tiefling. These horns that actually go up and then outward before curving back up. And on them are bands of various jewelry, baubles hanging down. You can see one of her eyes is glossed over. It looks like it was knocked out or punched out. This older tiefling with this light blue skin. And she's wearing a flamboyant burgundy shawl almost. She looks like a very overly jeweled grandmother as you kind of walk in, her bony fingers kind of protruding. Yes, my dear. Would you like to have your fortune read?
Yeah, Granny. That would be. I'm down. Let's see how this works.
1 gold is the price.
He pulls out a coin.
She takes it, kind of looks over on both sides, tucks it into her shawl. So let us see what fate has in store for you. She puts her hands, palms up on the table, beckons you to put yours upon hers.
Yeah.
Don't be shy.
No, he's super eager. Like he's there.
Okay, slaps. As you do, she grips suddenly your hands, like with a grip that's stronger than what should be on this frail old tiefling woman. She grips hard, and she kind of pulls you in closer. And she starts to blink a couple times and look into the crystal ball. She looks back up at you and kind of gestures for you to look into the crystal as well.
It takes him a minute, but he does.
Okay. Roll a 1d22, and you may have to do that in the chat because it's a weird number. Ooh, would you look at that? So as the clouds move through and you start to see a vision forming, you see yourself, Kalvyn, walking through the streets of Embershore along the stone cobblestones. And you're walking through the crowd, various people you don't know, faces you don't recognize, kind of passing through. And then you start to see people you do recognize. You see Mugthur walking by. As he passes by, he turns over his shoulder and sneers at you. You see Donovan, as you walk by the forge, kind of look up from hammering and just kind of withdraw in disgust. You see the covenant that helped carry Bál out of the cave. You see them look at you and just take a wide breath and move to the other side of the road. You kind of start to look at all these people, and as you turn, you see one sneering in particular with the look of anger upon their face, of fury. You see Melly's brother looking at you, shooting daggers at your vision. You see he had something in his hand that glistens in the light, something sharp as he moves forward to you. As he takes that first step, the vision fades. The clouds disperse, and she releases your hand.
What was that?
It was a glimpse into your future.
That didn't tell me anything. What happened?
You saw what happened with your own eyes, if you cannot see.
Well, yeah, but
tilts her head to the sides.
You don't have any insight into how does this come to pass? At the end that was a friend's brother.
A friend? Are you quite sure he did look like a friend to me?
Yeah, that's why I'm a little not sure.
You can see she has this slight smirk revealing a few of her sharp teeth, and she's kind of running her hands along the top of her other hand and kind of switching. You can see her long, painted black fingernails. She just kind of keeps doing this weird mannerism.
If she kind of remains quiet, he's gonna pull out another coin. Like, I gotta know more. I can't.
You press the limits of my vision. I can try again, but for more this time.
He throws down another coin.
She holds up 5 fingers.
He throws down all 5 coins.
Roll another 1d22. Okay. So she takes your hand again, gripping once more. As you look into the ball, you see the vision forming. You see her eyes glowing with the same light and the crystal is forming. You can see the clouds begin to part as you see yourself standing there alone. You see yourself turn over your palm, and in your hand, you see 3 gems, these crystals of golden diamonds, and they glow brightly like stars in your hand. You grasp one in your vision and you break it, and suddenly you're wearing the most perfectly crafted set of full plate armor you've ever seen. Looks like it's made of pure gold, a crown built into the helm itself. Your hand reaches towards another one, and as you do, the second one bursts, and you see the void around you changes, and suddenly you're standing, that visage of Kalvyn in the golden plate is now sitting on a throne. You can see the red carpet flowing down beneath. As you hold that last star in your hand, the vision fades.
That didn't make any sense. What kind of game are you? What?
You are blessed. This much is certain. There can be no denying the vision.
He stands up and is like, this is a sham, and just like walks out.
Believe that if you must as you walk out. You see Kalvyn come out in a huff, pushing aside the curtain.
How'd it go, Kalvyn?
Horse shit. Just kind of don't waste your coin.
How old was she?
What?
How old was she?
I don't know. She seemed old.
I bet she had a crystal ball, and I'm looking at Ellory.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yes! I look at Ellory. It's always the old women that have crystal balls. You know, it's the younger ones that will, like, read your palm and, like, do tarot cards and everything like that. But if she's old, it's a crystal ball that she'll be looking into. It's how it always goes.
So what was it like? What happened?
She had me look into her ball and showed me a couple of things. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Such as? Anything you want to share?
Well, for instance, showed one of them I was a king.
I tilt my head at that.
Yeah, right?
Anything else?
I mean, it's all hogwash. It's kind of grabs the back of his neck. It's just more or less the same.
I look at Amsen. I feel like he's not telling us something.
I mean, Kalvyn's right. It's usually hogwash, but that's part of the game. Is that you think, like, whatever's going to happen is going to happen or whatever, and, you know, you think about it for a while, and usually it doesn't really happen. But then it makes you think, and something similar happens, and then you just start thinking, like, oh my goodness, they were right, and all this kind of stuff, and I don't know. It's mind games for the most part. It's just fun.
Seems like a waste of coin. There's got to be something better to do. Come on, let's not waste time around here.
And as you'll begin to enjoy the rest of the festival, there's tattoo artists, there's face painting, arm wrestling, there's snow cones, there's like a cart, and upon the cart there's a elemental ice creature that's pretty small, about the size of like a dog, that's chained to the cart, and they're just being forced to make snow cones, and they're delicious. And this person's just selling these things left and right. This thing just kind of and the snow cone forms. Face painting, there's a boulder toss event.
If I am wandering around this festival, and I happen by this snow cone machine, I would like to go have a discussion with its proprietor.
You see this maybe like mid-40s gentleman with like a very thin black mustache that's like curled a bit on the sides, like he needs to grow it out a little bit more. His hair is like slicked back with like way too much gel or oil or whatever he's using, and he's in his best clothes that are like decent but not great. He's just kind of pushing this cart, like just handing a cone to a little child. There you go, yes. Would you like a cone? And he kind of pulls out the cup again as the method forms the snow cone. It's only 2 copper.
I ignore him, and I look to the creature.
I really want to speak to you, doesn't?
And in primordial, hello there, little one. Are you okay?
You see this icy creature with this kind of elongated neck and this kind of sharp, pointed beak, almost bird-like. Kind of turns over to look at you, and you see ice kind of flicking off. You see it's old, drained. Pay no mind to him. It's only have it on the house, and he kind of offers you the snow cone, just trying to interpose the snow cone between you and the ice creature. The rest of you guys will say y'all are kind of nearby, just going out of the fortune telling.
I will turn to the man.
Please have it.
Now, perhaps you just are unaware, but your business is slowly torturing this poor creature to death. So every snow cone that is bringing joy to all of these little children is filled with tears of a creature chained to his death for all eternity.
But I do feed him. I think he's fine.
He just begged me to end his life.
I think that's. I would prefer that. Not. This is my living.
He kind of puts the snow cone away. I can, thank you for your patronage. I'm going to, and he starts to just push the cart away from you, slowly turning it.
I will just rest my hand on his shoulder. Don't worry. Nature will remember. Walk
away. He slowly moves, and then as you let go, he quickly.
And I'll pull back my hood so my eyes are actually visible.
What? Who are you? And he quickly turns and speed walks with his cart away from you.
Just kind of crack my knuckles and just remember which direction he runs in.
Okay.
I'm gonna bump Ellory and be like, "Did you see that?"
Yeah, that was interesting. So, did we see his eyes when he did that?
Well, if he is turning around, you will see a rather tall fellow, maybe 6'8", tan-ish skin, kind of wild, dark hair that's pulled back into a messy bun with a beard. He's wearing, actually, he probably doesn't have his armor on here. He's got a staff that he's holding, and as you turn, he wears kind of a mantle with a hood that when it's down, you can see his eyes are pupilless. They look kind of pearlescent, green mostly, though it's like a swirl of green and gray.
Just seeing him, would I happen to know what kind of a creature he is?
You've likely never seen someone that looks like him before.
Have I heard of some people like him before?
Roll a history check.
Okay.
He looks vaguely human, but with some obvious notable differences.
Emphasis on the vaguely? Well, that's a natural 20, my friend.
You've never seen one, and you're like, this isn't a half-orc, this isn't an elf. The only thing you can think of are the stories you've heard of. Those touched by celestial beings, and you think this may be one of them.
Interesting. I'm going to look over at Ellory and just very quietly whisper, "You want to tail somebody for a little bit?"
Sounds like fun.
I really want to find out who this person is.
It certainly seems interesting.
So, I think wherever George's character is going, we're going to try to quietly follow around.
Okay, so where's the wanderer wandering?
He's probably just aimlessly looking about the festival. He will probably make his way in the direction to see if the snow cone guy goes to go sell snow cone, just went around the corner to go sell them somewhere else.
Okay. When you revealed your eyes and kind of said those words, you notice several people around you kind of looked at you, which isn't abnormal when you do that in most places. I assume putting the hood back on, kind of wandering around in that general direction. I'll say Ellory or whoever is tailing him, give me a stealth check or performance check to kind of blend into the crowd.
Well, I'll do performance.
That's 24.
Stealth might have been better even though my bonus is higher, but that's an 18.
And George, your character can make a perception check as you're looking for the snow cone, but you might catch something else.
So, did Kalvyn just get lost in the crowd? You guys let's do this, and they're on. No, in my mind, that totally happened. Kalvyn's like, hey, wasn't there a snow cone? Wait, where'd you go? Oh, come on.
Okay, so maybe you and Paul are still together somewhere.
No, Baal's not here.
Where's Bál?
He didn't come to the festival?
No, Bál didn't go to the festival. So this is just all Kalvyn. You just left Kalvyn by himself.
Oops.
Which I think is funnier.
So, George, your character continues in that general direction. A few people kind of eye you. That's not unusual at first, but as you kind of move forward, you don't really notice anyone looking at you anymore. You do see the snow cone person in the distance. Looks like he literally went around the corner, went up to the other side around beyond the wagons of the tieflings, and is selling snow cones over there.
And I'm just going to park myself and wait.
Okay. Yeah, you find a wall or something to lean against, a crate or something to sit on. And you see he's just, hey, there you go, yes, thank you. And he's collecting the copper. The ice thing is forming snow cones. You notice it's having a little trouble, and he kind of looks at it and reaches for something in the cart, and the ice thing finishes the job. You're just watching him kind of move slowly about back and forth.
Yeah, I'm just going to wait for at any point where I think he will be alone, and then I will
follow. Okay. As you're tailing him, and as he's kind of waiting for this opportune moment, was Ball doing anything in particular?
No, I don't think he's doing anything in particular. I just don't think he's, unless he was dragged out, I just don't think he's going to go. Like, I think he's got other things he wants to, like, he kind of wants to be a bit solitary.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll say at this point that, George, you notice he's probably been out there for maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and then you notice he kind of begins to push to the side and begins to head towards an alley that's near, looks like a tavern, where it looks like he's gonna probably be out of sight at least for a minute. And as you kind of head in that direction to see what he's going to do, or you might be able to catch him alone, we're going to take a quick break.
Next time on Back to the Story.
Maybe they were not strong enough.
It takes strength to stand against a foe you cannot stand against.
I'm Ezekiel.
For part 2 of this episode of Back to the Story, you can find it on Stitcher, or by following us at back2_the story on Twitter.